What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Flight Time. This is our fourth show, conversation, whatever you want to call it. But we have a pretty interesting conversation today. And it may not be applicable for everybody, but something like we wanted to share with you all is the reality of being an online drone content creator. And that goes for Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're posting your drone content. Doesn't even matter if you have a large following, you're sort of already lumped into this conversation.
Well, look, there's no numbers that associate a content creator with being a content creator or not. I mean, as long as you're creating content, you're a content creator.
Just take a shot every time he says content creator.
Or just content in general. Well, no, I mean, if you sit here and if you think about it, you know, me doing this for like 2 years, whatever you've been, like a 1.5 or 1 year, just thinking about it, it's like, man, I feel like I've almost seen everything. And I almost want to take a step back and just talk about the community as a whole, because I think there's so much toxicity.
Ooh, you took the
in
words
the drone
right
community.
Out of my mouth. Took the words
Like,
right out of my mouth.
Like, I feel like it's almost worse than the beauty community on YouTube.
There's a lot of drone tea, and especially lately, there's a lot of tea. And listen, I'm not going to be the one that calls. You know, I'm like the pot calling the kettle black, because I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I've taken my swings at people, but I'll be man enough to say, yeah, I've done that when it's been justified. But you know, from a 1,000-foot view of things, it sort of sucks that it is so toxic, because it sort of takes the fun out of things when you try to do them. And we can break this apart multiple ways, because I really do feel like this is a conversation we should be having.
Yeah, there's so many things that I do, whether it be shooting a YouTube video, whether it be posting a photo to Instagram, whether it be just anything that I do when it comes to like drones, or even like an Instagram story or a Snapchat story. I gotta think about, how is this going to be perceived? Because the first thing when I upload photos on Instagram is,
how high
is this
were
legal?
you? How high were you?
How high were you flying? Like, right?
Yeah. And before, like, you and I were friends, I didn't have anybody to bounce things off of. I didn't have, all the resources I have today that I can text and be like, hey, how do you think people are going to react to this? So to have friends online that are not going to be yes men is really super important.
And here's the thing, and I've told this to a couple of people, it's kind of hard to get started with anything, but especially with drones, I feel like you've got to have the knowledge, you've got to have the experience behind you. A great example of this is when I first started, I got my first Phantom 4, and I made a video on YouTube called The Problems I'm Having with My Phantom 4. And the background video was like me playing video games. Like, this was like one of the first videos I ever uploaded.
Is that still up on the channel?
No, I think I removed it.
Oh man, that sucks, dude.
I'll have to go back and look it up, but I remember I posted on Reddit. I was like, is anybody else having problems with their Phantom 4? Here's some of the problems I've been having. And the first comment was, nobody gives a shit about your problems. Stop posting videos.
The thing so I used to be in phones before, like this, like, phones, ROMs and things like that. And there was a pretty heavy community back in the day for like the modding and rooting and all that nerdy crap that we used to do. And I used to hate the fact I would have to rely on forums. You would see people, like a group of people having this problem, and all of a sudden you would start believing you had the same problem they have. And it just became like, just this massive negative space. So I made a rule to avoid forums with my drone. Like, I don't use forums for drones.
Forums are where the trolls live. They
breed there.
And for me, I feel like I got my start through forums by sharing videos, and I'd say, here's my video, I'm open to critiques, just let me know. And that's how I started gaining traction in my account. So for the longest time, when people said, how do you grow a YouTube channel? How do you start a YouTube channel? I'd say, well, I started through Reddit. I was uploading my videos to Reddit. That's how they got seen. I don't give that advice anymore, because I think that's where people go to get eaten alive.
I mean, hey, if you're going to do this and you want to, test how thick your skin is right out of the gate, yeah, go that route. I didn't do that. I was doing something else, and by chance stumbled across the drone, and I was like, man, this is fun. And I'm not gonna lie, Casey Neistat, him flying around the drones.
Oh yeah,
everybody saw it, and everybody wanted to be like Casey. But I saw it, I was like, man, this is way cooler than any of that. So for me, making drone content, it was a way to elevate cinematography, or it was a way to challenge myself. And then of course you spew into like tutorials and everything else, but there's nothing that you can do that will please everybody. Even this video that we're doing right now is going to piss somebody off, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. There's a lot of people in the drone community that are sensitive, and not just like big creators, like big people, big influential people, like just other people. I feel like there's a lot of people that really get their feelings hurt easily. People who fly drones, I don't know what it is. This group of people that we've got that fly drones, just so up and down, wishy-washy. It's insane.
They live, but again, they live for this though. Like they live,
I know,
in this little community. Like you almost forget. Like, I wonder, do they remember they have friends, family, kids? There's holidays. I mean, there's more to life than a drone.
Dude, here's the thing. Being in a community with your drone is everything. Because, and I remember when I first started flying drones, I'd look things up like, what should I do after buying my drone? That was like the one thing I was looking up. And like the first or second thing on this list was join a community, whether it be a group of people in real life that you fly with, whether it be a group of people online that you connect with. That's something that's huge. So I'm not like trying to put the community that we've established down, but at the same time, it's starting to get really toxic.
It is, and the way you just put it sort of sounded like you were going to knock on my door and give me literature. I'm joking. Oh, that hurts. But it is like I see. Again, I look at every one of the creators that are making great drone content, and there really isn't a way to make bad drone content, but like. All of us have different takes, and there's so many people that I have yet to discover that have been making content, and I'll stumble across their channel and they'll have like 40,000-50,000 subscribers, and I'll be like, how come I've never heard of this person? And I'll start, binge watching their content. I'm like, man, this is really good. And then I'll find people like Jake Sloan, who lives in Alaska, and he's making just insane content, and he's got like the most insane scenery, and I'm just like, where has this guy been? How has he flown under the radar?
Quite intentionally flown.
Yeah, like literally.
Get it?
Literally.
Fly.
No, go ahead.
I'm going to get into something different, so you finish up what you're saying.
So when I was editing that video where I had everybody talk, I shared that clip that he sent me. And I remember I told you, I said, I have to edit this further to protect him.
Yeah, explain it to the people who may not have seen that video.
So if you guys haven't watched the video, I did a 1 year later video on the Mavics. And in that clip, there was a spot where Jake's friend is flying his plane. They got like this plane where they fly to they literally land this plane on icebergs and stuff. Like, it's crazy. But anyways, there was a clip towards the end of his video where his friend flies the plane up underneath the Mavic. I mean, pretty close. And I was just like, I can't put that in this video because he would get eaten alive. And unfortunately, I would be the person that would take the brunt of it for leaving it there. It would just been a mess.
I know.
So I chose to take it out.
So now here's the thing, right? My shtick is tutorial videos. I just try to like show people, teach people how to fly drones. And the amount of research that goes into doing this is insane, because if you get one little thing wrong, and this is true for, really anything, but if you get one little thing wrong, man, people come down hard on you. Oh, yeah. And if I'm watching a video back I upload and I go, I should have said something differently, I amend that like so many times. Like in the description, I'll be like, look, I meant to say this. As like a text option on the screen, I meant to say this. Somewhere in the comments, I meant to say this, but still I'll get told you were wrong. And I feel like that's something that's huge in the drone industry, is there's a lot of people who love to say like, I told you so.
There's always going to be that one person that's going to be waiting there and just chomping at the bit to correct you. And it's those types of people that I have a hard time. I'm gonna be completely real. Anybody who's been around myself, I am not kosher or calm in my comment section. I'm not typically calm. I will light people up rather swiftly and not even feel the slightest bit bad about it. But that's me. I'm working on it. I'm going to therapy twice a week, and anger management. So we're gonna fix that. But it's getting better. It's getting better. I'm on that 3-step program.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And here's the thing. You know what we should have started here. We kind of started on a bad foot by saying that the drone community is toxic. We started off on the wrong foot saying that the drone community is toxic, when I've got to say that I've met some of my greatest friends through the drone community. Like there's a really good amount of just great people who want to be supportive, people who have a lot of great information to share, and people who just do epic things with their drones. So I don't want to take away from any of that, because there's a lot of really great people.
There is a lot of great people, and it's the biggest challenge when you're creating. The reality is you can't let the few ruin it for the many, is probably the best way to put it. Like, I got a chance to meet you. We've became what I would probably consider best friends in the course of a year and a half's time, and we've traveled literally to most of the country together, hanging out.
I know.
At least once a month. And it's been an epic journey, and it's like you can't, like, you guys, I can't even describe it. Like, we're planning like something even crazier for directly after spin up, and then, you know, rinse repeat. We're gonna just keep doing it. I mean, it's just gonna be nuts.
We're making this long distance relationship work.
We're definitely doing it. It's the long distance bromance that just keeps on giving. But that's and there's others, like, you know, like when we go to spin up, you know, you'll stay around that room, and those are all the people that are just absolutely awesome people. They're not they're not faceless people.
And those are the people that, like you said, they live for this. They live for drones, and I love that. Some people who live for drones, they can't make it, and I understand that, but these people that are there, they devote so much of their time to drones, and even just the people that support this podcast, people that support our personal YouTube channels, and the people out there who just support everybody else is so great. So I don't think that there's any community out there that's more supportive than the drone community, but there's definitely some bad eggs.
There are some bad eggs, and there's different types of content creators that are out there that are making content surrounded around drones. Like, so here's what I've seen recently. So you have your channels that are pretty much dedicated to content surrounded around drones. Then you have content creators that will be doing, they primarily associate themselves around, let's say, tech, and then periodically or once in a blue moon, you'll see a drone video. They're like what I would say your casual goer, or they try to lump this hobby into the generalized you know, space. And then you may have channels like myself that, like, I sort of dabble in a little bit of everything, but the primary portion of my videos is always going to be drones. Like, that's my bread and butter.
Something that always rubs me the wrong way is when, like, somebody who never talks about drones will, like, talk about a drone, and there's just so much that goes into, like, what a good drone is, how they work. Whereas, like, I'm pretty sure everybody understands how a phone works, but a drone is totally different.
Yeah, and that's what really bothered me about the Moment campaign for those anamorphic lenses, because there was nobody on that campaign, like that promo, that I felt was like a professional drone pilot that, you know, I familiarized myself with, like Jesse Driftwood and I think Becky and Chris. I don't know them as pilots. Like, I do this for a living. I wake up, eat, sleep, and breed props. Like, I want, like, I told Sean, damn, that came out wrong. I told Sean I'm gonna let him tattoo some props on me when we're at spin up. I'm gonna let him tat me up.
Really?
Yeah, I've already got the approval to do it, so it's going down.
That's awesome.
I just want something like I can remember all this by.
Yeah.
But, like,
what, do you think it's all gonna fade away soon?
No, but, you know, you just want to, like I told you, like, I have an ace and a jack up my sleeve. Like, I know why that's there. Like, I need to have something to remember things by. But don't sidetrack me, Kyle.
Yo, I never understood what those tattoos meant, but having cards up your sleeve, that's awesome.
Yeah, man. You always got to ace up your sleeve.
I never understood that, but that's awesome. I just thought it was just a tattoo. That's sweet.
No. So you gotta have meaning behind like why you have ink. I don't want just random ink. It's gotta have meaning.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I don't want to be like I get perturbed. Like I got really perturbed. There was a channel, the Evo. The Evo's been out for a year, and Alltel all of a sudden in their infinite wisdom decided they were gonna start shipping, to all these other creators like that haven't had any experience or haven't had to go through any of the trials or tribulations that probably early adopters had to deal with. And they're just talking like from their hip, like they're specialists on it. And I'm like, there's countless channels that have been covering that product for better half a year. And you jamokes come in here like this, get out of here.
Well, so here's something, right? When I first started looking at drones, it was the Phantom 4. And I watched countless videos on the Phantom 4, and I got an understanding of like, and I didn't even have a drone, but I got an understanding of who knew what they were talking about and who didn't. Now, I love him. God bless him. I saw a video from Detroit Borg on the Phantom 4. Detroit Mike. Borg, you know what? His channel is incredible. I love it. I follow him on Twitter. He's always got such great points. His videos are very well articulated. I really do love his channel. He does a lot of technology. Very big into Apple.
Reviewing the Phantom.
Yeah. And look, he reviews this Phantom, and I see him talking about it like it's a phone. That's what was going through my mind. But then as I continued to do some poking around and seeing some other reviews of the Phantom, I was like, man, this guy knows what he's talking about. And that really says something. So to see some of these other companies like Moment Air target other people other than those who are very influential in the drone space, it kind of makes me wonder, because I can say that I've got almost 60,000 subscribers, and probably 60,000 of them own a drone, whereas if they target somebody who's got 200,000, maybe only 2,000 of those guys have a drone, So I don't know. It makes me wonder. I feel
it was a questionable move.
What?
It was a questionable move.
We're like Mean Girls right now, talking bad.
Well, they don't go here. They don't even go here. But
I feel like we both sound so salty.
But I know it comes across like we're salty. I know it does, but it's not, because you can say this is a hobby, you can say whatever, but at the end of the day, for many, it's not just a hobby. It's a bit of a lifestyle. Like you eat, sleep, and want to fly, and that's why there's so much drama, because it is so many different personalities in this sphere. And what's hilarious is you have 60,000 subscribers. This guy has so many, but like the crossover between all the different channels is insane. Insane. You will see subscribers go from channel to channel. Like I see Steve Carpenter. I see that guy everywhere. I don't even know if he works, but I see him everywhere.
Well, hold on. Do you know how in the beginning of this podcast you said something about how like you've come across somebody that you don't even know?
Yeah.
I'll do that too. I'll come across someone and say, who is this guy? And then I'll see in the comments either Steve Carpenter or Rick Halber commenting. I'm like, Rick knows him, but I don't.
Steve knows everybody. Steve is like at first, remember what I said to you, like when we were like a year ago, like I saw the Steve Carpenter comment, and it was just a picture of a boat. And I'm like, I don't think this guy Steve is real. It's just a picture of a boat. Who's pulling my leg? He's too nice. Because he was always so positive. And I'm like, he's too nice to be somebody that's real. And then we were at Spin Up and we finally got a chance to meet him. And I'm like, he is real and he doesn't look like a boat.
Hey, Ken, I've got something to tell you.
What's that?
The Steve Carpenter account has been me the whole time.
Oh, is it?
And at Spin Up, that was an actor I hired.
So you got me. But
what were we just talking about though before? But you were saying how it's like a lifestyle, right? It's like eat, sleep, fly.
It is,
dude. Every time. First of all, I carry around 2 drones in my backpack everywhere I go. So that's just a whole different level of dedication.
Dude, I was working in Lakeland yesterday, and I told my wife, I said I was driving home, and I said, hey, I'm driving through Tampa. I said, I got to pull over. She's like, why? I'm like, the sun is amazing. She goes, why would you pull? I said, I brought the drone. She's like, you brought the drone to work? I'm like, it's a cardinal sin never to bring it. You got to bring it everywhere you go.
Who knows what situation you're going to be in, but there's never a time where I'm like driving in the car and I don't say, man, I got to fly that.
No, you got it. And it's just easier if you have it already ready to go, because then you don't have to be like, well, I woulda, shoulda, coulda. It's ready to go. But that's the mentality of somebody who's in this hobby. And And the reality of making the content online is that for the most of the time, it's instant gratification. It's great. You almost know, depending on what video you're going to produce, if you're going to get whomped by the audience, or you're going to, or it's going to be like everybody's siding with you. A good ratio for me is like, we call it the 10-to-1 ratio. If you have 10 likes to 1 dislike, you're doing good. It's the 10-to-1 philosophy. And I think what is your goal per, like, what would you consider like on like what we look at when we talk about views on videos? I always say I just like to hit at least 1,000. I'm pretty happy at that point.
Yeah, man, 4 digits is cool for me. My thing is I try to hit 3. I try to hit 3,000. And just like you were saying, you know whether you're going to get whomped by the audience or not. When I'm sitting there making a video, even as I'm scripting it, I'm just thinking to myself like, this is not going to get a lot of views, or I'm like, oh, this is going to get a lot of views. But here's something interesting that came across my mind, right? We're kind of talking about what it's like being a drone content creator. Again, it doesn't matter the size of your channel, where you post. It's just some of the things that you've got to deal with. Here's something, as we sit here and we talk about the newest drones and stuff coming out, the struggle is real, especially in this lull we've been in. I mean, the most recent drone that we've got that's even worth talking about, like the new drone, is the Mavic 2, which is almost over a year old. That's a real struggle, especially for us. Our channels thrive off of brand new hardware coming out. I mean, you know it's slow when, you know, we're making videos about like talking about Lank. I mean, I know it's kind of like important, but you see a lot of these content creators coming out talking about things that really aren't crazy important, because what else is there to talk about?
Right. And for me, that I've started like doing this whole thing, like I've been getting on a kick of, well, I want to review products long term and talk about, you know, how they've fared over, let's say 6 months, you know, a year, whatever it may be. I think going back and revisiting products is really important, because I think people get in this rut where they believe that they have to buy the latest and greatest, and they're either A, holding out for the next big thing, and that next big thing may never come, and they've just missed out on a whole year's worth of flying because they want the next thing that there's no guarantee that we're going to see. And I've been on a gimbal kick lately, and that's, you know, I've attracted probably a whole different, you know, viewership, but I still try to, you know, tailor the content around content creation. You know, not stray too far off the beaten path, I guess.
Path.
Yeah, path. Beaten path.
There's a lot to consider too before you actually want to start taking content creation seriously. Getting on like kind of a different topic here. You know, when I first started YouTube, I thought that the videos I were making were the bee's knees, and to see where I've come from since then is like,
it's crazy. I've gone back and like I will watch. I know it's weird to say. I said it today too, because I was been listening to our podcast as I'm driving, because I listened to it and I'm like, damn, this sounds good. I've texted you. I'm like, this sounds really good, man. I'm listening to myself and you, but it's not me, but it is me. That was weird.
You know what's, you know, here's the thing is, after a video, I like shoot a video, I'll sit there and I'll watch the entire thing from front to back, just make sure that, you know, all the cuts are perfect, the audio sounds good, the colors look good, you know, like you've got to go and you've got to make sure that what you create is good. So you sit there, you watch it back. But with the podcast, man, these things can be 50 minutes long. So I do the same thing. I get in the car, I put it on, I say, all right, let me listen and see if I messed anything up here.
Yeah. And I've been listening to it and I'm just like, man, I'm really enjoying the format, but making the videos, I've set a goal for 2019 that I wanted to do 3 videos a week, and I travel a lot, and I think that's the hardest thing to do, is to commit to a schedule. So I found I like Sundays for uploads. Sunday or Monday is like sort of my main upload day, and then maybe I'll do one like Friday or Thursday. That's, you know, sort of where I've been, or possibly even one middle of the week. But it takes a toll. It's stressful, because people will be like, you're really reaching here. And it's like, what people don't understand is, for a content creator, in order to keep a channel alive, you have to be uploading at least once a week, 4 times a month at minimum, to keep your channel alive and ranked in an algorithm or search. We're ranked in drone search. And it is honestly a scientific pattern that goes through. And I have philosophies on things, and everybody has different rules that they want to do. I rather put out quality over quantity. I'm not just trying to crank out videos and use a product for one day. And another thing that I hate to do is buy something and return it and give it away. I have 5 gimbals now, and I don't have any intention on selling any of them because I like to compare them as new products come out. I don't care if my house is filled with gimbals one day. I'm not getting rid of them.
You're gonna like put the light bulbs on top of the gimbals and replace your lamps.
I'm just gonna have a gimbal army, dude.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like I'm sitting here, I'm thinking to myself, first of all, my basement is just filled with YouTube crap and drones and technology and camera stuff, and I'm sitting here like, man, I feel like I gotta offload some of this stuff. So I'm looking, and something crossed my mind. I'm like, I might sell my Spark, or I might sell my Mavic Air, but I'm sitting there like, no, I can't sell those.
You can't. Like, it's part of our content. It's part of the creation.
What if a Spark 2 comes out? I can't do a comparison between the Spark 1 and the Spark 2.
Right?
You know? So that
I sit back and I look and I'm like, all right, we've got an Evo, we've got the Zoom, we've got the Pro. I've still got a P4 Pro. I can't fly them. Can't fly them all, you know, at the same time, obviously. But I try to rotate them, and then I'll pick one of them up that I haven't picked up for a while. And now I have a whole new idea, like a new video emerges in my mind because I'm looking at something for the first time, and that I think is cool, but it is stressful. And there's some times where I'm just like, I'll go somewhere and just fly, and I'm like, I don't want to make a video about this. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to vlog. I don't want to edit this. It takes the joy out of being where I am on the spot.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Here's something interesting. We've been talking about community, whatnot, right? Being somebody who does drone content can also be pretty expensive. You know, these drones are not cheap.
No.
And I can tell you, coming from somebody who, you know, I've bought a lot of drones with my own money. I mean, look, the accessories, sometimes companies will send that out for like a review or whatever.
The vast portion we buy.
Yeah, but the drones, in terms of like the aircraft that I own, I've bought all of them. And affiliate sales definitely help out that. So anybody that's been buying through my affiliate sales, Ken's affiliate sales, really anybody, it's definitely going to help everybody out.
We have affiliate sales, but
yeah.
So,
you know what I mean?
So I'm in a unique situation with what I do, and people are always like, well, how do you afford this? How do you do this? Well, I made a decision, like, what was it, last year? I'm almost coming up on a year that I wanted to work with the brand, and I met a guy who owns a drone company, a drone distribution. I was like, you know, I'm an online content creator, and I sort of stated my case, and I never once told him what he can do for me. And I've just made it all about what I can do for them. And he like said he was going to think about it, and he sort of stewed on it a little bit. And, you know, I get a call and he's like, yeah, I want to work with you. He goes, I've not had anybody approach me like that before. He goes, I like you. And, you know, you've heard the way I talk to him. It's like,
yeah,
you know, it's one of those.
You guys are like a married couple.
We are, but you know, we get it done, and he cares about his customers. So it sort of worked out. Like it just, you know, but I'm super thankful for them because I attribute a lot of what's happened this past year to him. So 100%.
That's awesome.
Thank you to Zach and DroneWorks for all that. Shameless plug.
Literally said that at the same time.
Yeah, well, we were thinking. I saw, you know, there's a gleam of light in our eyes, but you know, those are things that happen. But it's not all glitz. It's not always fun. I mean, there is like people like it is expensive though. It's stressful. It's very stressful.
Yeah. You know what? It's especially a little bit weird thinking about regulations. Just coming off our last episode where we talked about the FAA a little bit. I mean, they really have a huge amount of jurisdiction over what happens and what doesn't happen with drones going forward. I think that there's way too much potential for them to just say, all right, poof, they're gone. But there could be an insane amount of restrictions being put on these drones, which could have a huge damper in what we do.
It could, and I sort of seen that, like, not saying like sky is falling type of thing, but that's why I'm particularly glad that you and I did not brand our channels as with anything with the name drone in it. Yes, we do drones. Drones are our primary source. But at the end of the day, if I needed to switch to something else as my primary target, I can. And it would probably be Original Dobo, Gimbal Extraordinaire, Camera Stabilization Specialist. I don't know.
Are you gonna get your arms replaced with gimbals?
I may, dude. I just want to,
like,
you know.
Like at the elbow, like your forearm is like the gimbal, and then like your hand
as long
is
as
like
they
the
can
mount.
lock, I'm thinking that's what I'm gonna do. I really want super stable, like super
I
stability.
mean, you would never spill a drink ever.
No, I mean never.
I mean,
Could be
think
a
about it.
waiter.
If you had like Parkinson's, right? You'd be fine.
I'd be the most stable person alive. You wait until you see me in the old folks home, dude.
Yeah, I mean, every single time, just a flawless little sip of coffee.
Dude, it'd be the best sip of Starbucks ever. But
Here's something interesting to ask you, and then you can ask me the same question if you want. How did you know you wanted to get into drones and making YouTube videos?
The first time I lost my Parrot Bebop.
Well, so because here's something interesting. At my age, the generic answer, I'm 21. Every kid, like, well, maybe not my age, but especially like a little bit younger than me, they all want to be YouTubers. Like, that's their thing, man. That's what they want to do. They see all these guys like,
and it's
you know,
it's not easy. It's really hard, and you got to take a lot of time and effort and do some really wacky, uncomfortable stuff sometimes to have an audience. And I think that's a lot of what some people take for granted when they watch online.
So when you lost your Parrot Bebop, that's when you knew you wanted to start uploading videos.
I was like, man, this is fun. Like, I was flying it for a couple days, and then I was like, man, this is crazy fun. Like, I hit it into a tree, and I fixed it. I was like modifying it. I made landing gear because it was the Parrot Bebop one. And, I made a couple of quick Instagram edits, and I was like, man, this is fun. So I was like, well, what other drones are out there? And I bought a Unique Breeze, and I'm like, well, that thing sucked.
Oh man, so you have flown Unique.
I have flown Unique. Yes, I had a Unique Breeze for a brief period of time, and then I bought a Phantom 3 Standard, and then I went to the Altel X-Star, and then from the X-Star I went and I got a Spark, and then I had the Phantom 4 Pro. Lost that, had that 3 times, have it again. So I've had a lot of different drones, but it was like I never intended to transition the channel to. I just found like this was more fun than talking about phones. Like, this was way more fun because it was something different.
Well, you know what? John Rettinger, Techno Buffalo formerly, made a really cool video about it was like his video on the Note 9, and he says that just because he's reviewing all these phones, that it's kind of like they all blend together. The specs blend together. He forgets all of that, but he remembers like memories that he has with these phones. And I think that he said it so well because there's these channels out there that will go and they'll talk about the specs, and I'm guilty of it.
I'm vague. I'm pretty vague on specs. I would say I try to make things a little bit more layman, for people, just because specs are specs, and like, well, show me how it really flies.
So here's the point that I'm trying to make here is like the time you have flying your drone is like this experience. And I think that there's so many people that want to share that experience with others because so many people have different experiences. You and I can fly at the same exact spot, but your video is going to turn out entirely different from mine.
Look what we did when we were in New York.
Yeah, you could have 20 people fly at the same exact spot, and all 20 of those people are going to come away with 20 different shots.
I concur 100% that there's no two visions are ever the same when it comes to flying a drone. I mean, we're honestly, I love when we do like these travel vlogs because we're flying the same locations, and we'll get crossover bleed if people watch my video, watch your video, and they're like, what? It's like, if you can run both videos side by side, they're similar but so different. And we have such different ways of, like, your flight is very fast. Like, if you look at a lot of your motions, they're dynamic, they're fast.
I'm always in sport mode.
You're always in sport mode. Your balls to the wall, and mine is a little bit more of that, slower pace, shots. Like, I hate to say it, cinematic even, but those are my shots, and that's what's cool about everybody's style, and it goes for everybody, and you got to find your own style, and I think that could be the hardest thing too for somebody who's trying to create content now, is that you inadvertently absorb somebody's style, or even like if I hang out with you for too long, like sometimes I'm like, shit, I'm talking like him. Stop it.
Yeah. Well, dude, that's the thing is, and here's when you start your channel, I feel like you've got to try to emulate somebody's style just so that you can find your own style. So I remember when I first started, I wanted to be a blend of MKBHD and Casey Neistat, and somehow that blended into like my own style. But that's just something you've got to do. You know, I feel like you've got to take somebody's style, you've got to rip it, and then you make it your own.
I don't know who, where, I don't even know. I'm original Dobo, so
yes, you're original.
I'm original, I guess.
The one and only.
The one and only. But it just came about. I don't even know how that happened, but it did, and I'm glad it did, because you know, I've tried people's styles, but they never fit well. And you sort of get in your mind, you're like, man, I want my footage to look like this, but you just got to find even your own look, even for the colors of your videos. Like certain people have like certain colors, a certain look. Like you'll watch their video and instantly you'll know who you're watching. Like I love RGBs in my backdrop. I love like it's like a trippy disco scene. That's me, man. I know you hate it. Billy's doing this thing to his head. You know, he's like, but that's me. Just like you have that very clean backdrop.
White backdrop?
Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny about the backdrop? I saw some people commenting about it. I thought I was going to be here. You know, I'm in college right now, so I just wrapped up my junior year. I came back to my mom's, and I thought that honestly I was just going to continue to shoot out of my mom's basement, moving into an apartment. So we're going to see what happens. I might be moving the studio yet again. So I didn't do anything drastic like hang up drywall or paint any walls down here. So it has been like kind of like a clean, pale, boring white backdrop. But you know what? Here's another thing. And this is a tip that I took from Unbox Therapy, Lou. He was like, you've got to somehow shorten the amount of time that it takes for you to create this piece of content that you want to post. So for me, behind me right now, I have got my light set up, I've got my tripod set up, I've got my microphone set up, I've got everything set up to the point where all I need to do is put the camera on the tripod, sit down, and hit record, and I'm going. And that's a huge thing too. And if you're not somebody that wants to make videos sitting inside, well, have your camera with you. Be able to just, when you're there flying your drone, if you want to film something, boom, pull it right out and start filming something. I think that's huge.
Yeah, and it's funny, like I went from simplified to a little bit more complicated. So it used to be in my old office, I had like this ring light, and it was just basically, okay, pop my camera into the ring light, throw an SD card in, throw the mic up, and you're good to go. So I've since from that point moved into the new office, and now I have it to where all right, you know, set the Mac up, set my audio up, set the camera, and I'm recording into a Ninja. And it's a little bit more of a production. It takes me about 25-30 minutes to start recording a video now, as opposed to 2 minutes of setup time. I have about 30 minutes of, you know, check and prep. But my rule of thumb is I'd rather shoot right than shoot twice.
Yeah, and that's true. But here's the thing is like you're in the habit of shooting videos. So the setup time is going to give you better audio, better video. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
But here's the thing is if you're trying to get into the groove of shooting video, you want to make the barrier to you creating that piece of content as small as possible.
I think a lot of it comes to is like how you plan these videos. Like the ones that are the hardest to do is like the breaking news videos, because you know, as a YouTuber, and this is the dirty truth of it all, if you're not first, you're last.
You're last.
You're last. And I mean, that's 100% the fact. Like, you know, you'll see why people do like a live stream, breaking news, live stream. While it's not the best thing to do, because you're not really going to give yourself a good ranking, and it's not the best production where somebody's going to probably watch, you're first. So you won the first battle. And you know, the reason why we're telling you guys all this is so when you watch these videos, you have a sort of a perception as to what goes through any creator's mind as to why we do what we do. This is sort of just like a little bit of an insight. And if you guys are interested in knowing more about things like this, because some people find this stuff interesting, you know, we can expand further, because we're only touching on like, you know, we're only scratching the surface of like what we go through on the daily basis, because we haven't even gone into like, you know, like the comments that we have to deal with, like the constant, the constant criticism. Or all of a sudden you'll randomly start getting like this troll that just wants to burn your house down type of thing. You know, those things happen, man.
Here's a true story. Ken and I had this troll who would send us some of the most obscene messages through Facebook. Like the type of stuff where you'd be worried for your own life, you know?
We fixed his ass though.
Yeah, we really got him. That's gonna be like a story for an unlisted stream.
Yeah,
for people, only certain people that can watch.
We took matters into our own hands. We could have called the cops and did all this crazy stuff, but I think we fixed it. And you know, and that's the thing too, is like we try to make amends with people. Like we don't want to fight with anybody. We don't want to, like, you know, we're all guilty of talking crap from time to time and ragging on other creators. But the reality is we don't dislike anybody in the space that creates drones. You know, I had a conversation, you know, just today, depending on when you're watching this, I had a pretty reasonable conversation with Ash from Droning On. And many people know him and I have butt heads throughout the course of a year. So, I mean, if him and I can, you know, have diplomatic conversations, I mean, that says something.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey, man, I think that was a really good constructive talk, not only for the people watching, but maybe even for myself. I feel like I got to
I feel like we just did a little bit of therapy for ourselves.
I got to get some things off my chest. With that said, though, you know what? Link with us on Twitter and Instagram. I am at Billy Kyle on both. You are at Original Dobo.
At Original Dobo.
And if you guys want to have a longer conversation, maybe get some tips and tricks on how to start shooting video or how to start creating content, whatever you guys want, just, you know, let us know.
And, you know, and considering something here as well, I've been seeing a lot of, I know we've had a real rough go with live streaming. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it because it was always hard. But I'm seeing a lot of people have great success with this StreamYard all of a sudden. I'm seeing it like spread like wildfire since Hangouts is gone. And it looks really good, like really good. It may be something
Flight time stream.
I'm thinking like a flight time stream. And what's cool about this is how it's ran. It's not actually dependent on your computer. It's this website running and hosting everything. So
that's nice.
So yeah, maybe we can do something like that, depending on like on weeks we can't deliver this. But if you want to see your photo as the thumbnail or backdrop of this podcast, again, use that link in the description below. Email us a photo, your name, location where it was shot, and just a little bit of context of the photo, and if you have an Instagram handle, so we can definitely give you a shout out for the thumbnail.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love being able to feature people's content. You know, I feel like YouTube is really not the place to do it, but I try to make it happen, whether it's like on my Instagram story and being able to use a backdrop. I mean, first of all, it saves us time because there's no way we can shoot photos for every single episode. So it's just a really cool way to kind of connect with other people. And again, coming back to this whole drone community thing, man, there's so many nice people, and I love being able to chat with new people every single day. It really is awesome. So don't feel I guess scared to reach out to either of us on Twitter, Instagram. We don't bite. We'd love to talk.
No, and I think that's another thing, and that goes for any of the drone content creators. If you hit somebody up on social media, you're probably definitely going to get a response. Like they're going to respond to you. Like we're all going to respond. And I mean, I endlessly answer people. You can't annoy me.
Yep.
But yeah, that's it, man. That's good chat, man.
Ken just gave me this look like I'm the one annoying him.
No, I did not give you a look that you're annoying me. Shut the heck up, man. You're ridiculous.
Yeah, guys, we'll talk. We will talk. This is the first week of streams.
Dude, I feel so good, so pumped.
I know
that we've cranked out consistent episodes. You sort of had to drag me to do this, but
this is the second episode of streams, or this is the second week of streams.
Second week of streams, and I'm just glad we're finally back.
I know, it's awesome. It's cool being able to sit down and talk about drones because I could like talk forever. So let us know if you guys have any topics you want us to talk about. Throw them down in the comment section. We'll talk about them. It would be cool if we had like some breaking news to talk about, but the drone industry is like slow as hell right now.
Really is. Breaking news. There's no breaking news.
It kind of sucks because it's like we want to point these fingers at DJI for not dropping anything, but nobody else is dropping anything new. So it's
they didn't even have to. They could just let this drone. They can let the Mavics marinate.
They could never make another drone again, and they'd be like the best drone manufacturer for the next 10 years.
Basically,
it's silly.
Oh, that was very fanboyish of you, but
yeah. What? Oh my God, you want to delete that part of the stream?
Strike that from the podcast.
All right, guys, we'll catch you later.
See ya.